Here's my bucket. Here's my list. Today I'm going to be sharing a few things that are on my bucket list, some upcoming plans, and kind of just generally things I want to do. I decided I wanted to start like writing down things I wanted to do, and that way like I kind of have a direction of like where this channel might go. I don't really know what's going on. Okay, so one of the first things that I wrote down was hiking more trails. It's no surprise that I love hiking, I enjoy it, and it's something I want to continue doing. I love being out in nature, so hiking more trails is definitely something that has to be on the list for my bucket list. Before I left for the Appalachian Trail, I found this like brochure at one of the like local day trails that has a list of like 40 something different local small trails around South Florida. So I decided that I was going to try and tackle that list. You guys are going to see here shortly on my channel that I'm going to start doing some day hikes and kind of sharing the trails around here in South Florida. I feel like Florida doesn't get a lot of like good rep as far as trails go because, you know, we don't have mountains in a sense down here, those great vast views, but I will say that we do have some pretty cool wildlife that you get to see while you are hiking. So I'm gonna start tackling those and I'm gonna take you guys along with me. Of course, I have mentioned this many of times that I would love to go out and finish the Foothills Trail because it's absolutely gorgeous trail, so that is definitely something that's still on my list. I would love to finish the Appalachian Trail at some point, so whether that be reattempting to through hike it, which I feel like would be logistically the easiest thing to do for me since I don't live in the Appalachian Mountains, but it may end up being where it's something like I section hike the rest of it. Obviously, if that ends up going well, I would love to do the Pacific Crest Trail, the Continental Divide Trail. Doing those kind of trails would be really cool because, you know, it's just a very different terrain out there. The views are just like endless from what I hear, so I would love to do that. Another big one on my list is the Wonderland Trail. I have seen amazing videos and pictures and it just looks so pretty. Another thing on my list is definitely to do more running races. So as you all know, I signed up for the Dopey Challenge this January coming up. I'm doing Dopey. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm crying. Oh my gosh. Okay. That is definitely like my big running goal right now. Training starts in a few weeks, so that should be interesting. Like major race that I would love to do is New York City race. So when I did a trip to New York with my roommate, it happened to be the weekend of the race, so we got to see like a lot of the runners like prepping and like doing their like little last shakeout runs and stuff like that, and I was just like, it would be so cool to do the New York City Marathon. And then of course maybe like Boston would be amazing, but obviously I am nowhere near the speed that you need to qualify for Boston, so it'd probably have to be something like I join a charity. So obviously those are kind of more like big goals, right? Those are more things that are going to take time to work towards, but some of the other things that are like a little bit more easier where I can just like book a trip or like just go out and do the thing are the next things on this list. Obviously I want to do more solo travel. I've mentioned a lot about how I go to Disney a lot by myself and I am a very independent person. At least I was before going on the Appalachian Trail, and then for some reason the Appalachian Trail threw my brain and I was like, I can't do anything by myself anymore. That's silly. So I would love to do more solo traveling trips. Number 4 on my list is to watch sunrise and sunset in the same day. So this one kind of comes from one of my neighbors actually. When I first moved into this house, we had like a bonfire type thing. It's Florida, you don't really, it's not cold here, so you don't really need a bonfire, but we were just hanging out. The neighbors came over and they were talking about how they had just done the coast to coast little like challenge. So they watched sunrise on our coast of South Florida and then they drove over to the other coast and watched sunset all in one day. It's gonna take a little bit of planning and kind of like, if it happens, it happens, is to see Tim McGraw in concert. I have loved Tim McGraw forever. Oh my gosh. Y'all, Timmy. I love Tim McGraw. So I would love to see him in concert, but obviously like that's gonna take some planning and like obviously like him having a concert and him going on tour. So whenever that happens, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna go see Tim McGraw in concert. Number 6 on the list is to see a Broadway play in New York City. Number 7 and number 8 kind of go in hand with one another. So I would love to try and surf someday. Whether it be like I just take one surfing lesson and never surf again, or whether I become like a pro surfer. So that one kind of goes in hand with the next one, which is paddleboarding. I actually saw this girl on Instagram, and if I find her name in her video, I'll put it in here. But she went out on a paddleboard. She's like doing this challenge where she does something fun every day after work, and she brought like peanut butter and jelly, like a sandwich, with her on like the paddleboard, and she went and sat in the middle of the lake or the ocean, wherever she was, and she ate the peanut butter and jelly on the paddleboard. And I was like, that would be so fun. I want to do that. So some of the places I would love to see, number 9 would be the Golden Gate Bridge. I feel like that's just like an iconic place you got to go when you're visiting different places in America. I've actually never been to California, so seeing California in general would be really cool, but I would love to see the Golden Gate Bridge. I would love to go is the Redwood Forest, so I want to walk in it. I want to drive through one of those giant trees. I want to do it. Honestly, I would say this place is like the top of my list of places that I would love to travel, but I know it would be so expensive and it would cause a lot of planning to be involved in it. Would be to see the pyramids in Egypt. I've heard from numerous people that you want to go to Egypt with a tour guide because apparently locals don't really like tourists, which I get. So that obviously is going to take a lot of planning and like time wise and money and whatnot, but that is definitely top of my list. I've always been fascinated with Egyptian culture. Since I was in 6th grade, I took a world history class, and that was like my favorite like section when we talked about Egypt and we learned about the Egyptian culture. And ever since then, I've watched documentaries, I've watched movies, I've watched TV shows, I've listened to books. I love that, and so it's definitely a place that I want to go at some point in time in my life. I just don't know when, because it is going to be pretty costly. Another place pretty local is the Grand Canyon. I would love to see, honestly, seeing either sunrise or sunset over the Grand Canyon would be epic, but I'll just take seeing the Grand Canyon in general because that's epic in itself. Number 13 is visiting all the Disney World parks. Now, I am a very big Disney World goer. As you all know, I grew up near Disney World, a couple hours away. We had annual passes growing up, so we would go up for literally the day. My mom would pack us all up in the car at 4 a.m. We would drive up there for the day, and she would drive us home the same day. Like big Disney World goers in Orlando, Florida, but I have never been to any other Disney parks. So I would love to go to all of them at some point in time in my life. Disney World Tokyo, I hear, is amazing, so I really would love to go there. Another place going off the mainland of the USA is Hawaii. Since I was a very little kid, I always said I wanted to go to Hawaii, and I don't know why. It's never like I had like the fascination like I did with like Egypt and Egyptian culture. I just think it's a really pretty place, and I think I would be very relaxed there, so I would love to go to Hawaii. Now, number 15 is something that I have mentioned in other videos. I have talked about it in other videos. I think it was like the Get to Know Me video I talked about it. I eventually at some point in time in my life want to own a house on a lake or the ocean or something near water. Obviously, I grew up in Florida. I grew up going to the beach. Honestly, other than when I lived in Tallahassee for 6 years, I have never been more than like 20 minutes away from the beach. So the beach is very accessible to me. Water is very accessible to me. Even now I live like 10 minutes away from the beach. Like, I love being around water. And eventually at some point in time in my life, I would love to own a house on a lake or near the ocean or something like that, to where it's very easily accessible for me. Number 16, kind of going hand in hand with that one, is eventually I would love to own my own boat. Now, going to Wisconsin when I was a kid, that's where most of my family is from, and a lot of my family still lives there actually. We would always go out on the boats, and we would go tubing. We would go skiing, and by we I mean not me, because I could never get up on skis. I should add that to the list. You know what? I'm adding it onto the list. Get up on water skis. All right, number 18 kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm doing right now, YouTube. I would love to create some sort of either like documentary, some sort of content piece, some sort of video that I am just super proud of. I want to like take a long time to create this like culminating piece, and that was something that I was planning on doing with my Appalachian Trail through hike, was taking like that whole journey and kind of coming up with a storyline and just like putting it all together in one long documentary form. And it's still something that I want to do. It's still something where it's like I want to take months and months and months of filming and put together almost like a movie, in a sense, like to say I created a movie. It's definitely something on my list, but I want to find the right topic. And obviously the Appalachian Trail I felt like would have been a really good topic for me, but obviously that didn't work out. So I mean, maybe in the future if I do reattempt, that will be something that I could do the topic on, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Number 19, I would love to see the Northern Lights. I don't care where from, but I would love to see them. Number 20 is to go to a wine tasting in Napa Valley. So honestly, this California trip, I'm gonna be very busy. I'm gonna have a wine tasting, I'm gonna have some forest that I need to go see, I'm gonna have the Golden Gate Bridge. I have a very big trip planned for California. And the last one on my list that I have for right now, obviously I can add to it, I can edit this list, is to see a hot air balloon launch. Now I don't want to go in the hot air balloon. No, thank you. I don't want to end up like Amanda Bynes' mom in the Amanda Show, where she's just like lost in the air in a hot air balloon. Y'all 90s kids, if you watch that, you know. But I want to go to a field where there's a bunch of hot air balloons and they're all launching into the air at the same time. I just want to see that. I think it would be really cool. So now, as of right now, I don't have any plans to complete any of these things. I don't have any like set in stone trips or anything laid out for me, other than that I signed up for the Dopey Challenge. So that one is going to be coming true, but not till next January. But I just generally wanted to start kind of like coming up with a list and like of things that I want to do and see in my life. And so I kind of have a goal, something to work towards, because I feel like for the last couple years it's been working towards the Appalachian Trail and I didn't really have any other focuses. And now that that is not really happening right now, I felt like I needed another direction. Anywho, I hope you all enjoyed this video, getting a little glimpse into my goals, my aspirations in life. I'm so weird. All right, anywho, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.